Good morning. Welcome to the Wellness Journal. This is for the month of July that I'm recording my Wellness Journal for July. And I haven't finished it yet, so you're going to come along with me and watch me work, and I'll discuss some of the things I'm doing. Might be a few tutorials. I don't know how this is going to play out. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm going to turn the camera around right now, and you can take a look at where I am so far. All right, got a bunch of junk laying here. I got some stuff I want to show you. One being these new Tim Holtz Distress spritzes. They're pretty cool. I like them. And another, I don't know. I just got to show you what I got going on because it's all really out there. None of it is finished. I went to the beach and I thought I was going to have time to journal, and you know what? I didn't, and that was a good thing because I was at the beach with my family, and that was utterly delightful. And I put the art aside. I got a little bit done, but you know what? That's probably being at the beach was what I needed to do. I got this tissue piece in a one of the swaps in StencilClub, and I don't know if you're in StencilClub or not, but I so enjoy the swapping and the things we have fun with. This was from Carlotta Holman, and we were swapping, I can't even remember what, but typically what people do when they swap is they send along extra stuff that they've made, right? And I got some tissues from her that I'm in love with, because you know how it is, like, even though you make your own parts, your own collage pieces all the time, there's just something about other people's that are so delightful, right? So that's where I am with this. You'll notice I'm using a brush, and with tissue, I don't typically use my glue stick. I use matte medium for tissue, just because it makes it dry down so much in a more clean way to the surface. Now, what I want to do is kind of pull these bits up here off. So I'm going to reach behind and grab my little manicure. This is a manicure product. It's a little baby sanding board. See how it's like a little piece of sandpaper mounted on a block. I guess, I mean, God forbid I don't have manicures, but I guess people that do, this is maybe part of it, the procedure. I don't know. Anyway, so this bit over here is pretty wet, and I can pull it away pretty well. So this page that I'm working on doesn't look like me, does it? Yeah, well, I don't know what I was doing. Here's what I think I was doing as I interpret my own work. I think I was trying to put some order back into my life because, you know, my life's been pretty out of order lately. You're out of order. I feel like there's someone judging me, right? Anyway, I have a continued need to do my wellness journal because I got a lot going on in my life, and this wellness journal helps me escape. Oh, I love that. This brings this very minimalistic page back into the world of Mary Beth Shaw, and that makes me super happy. It feels much more like me. A little hunk came up that I'm going to glue down here. So this is one technique to integrate. And I've been saying this. I feel like I say the same thing over and over. I apologize. If you're bored with that, just switch the channel. What can I tell you? But what I like is when I make things and it doesn't feel quite right to me, then I go back in and I integrate the elements. And by integrating, I mean that I bring them together more as one. And there are several ways to do that. You can, for one, do it with stencils. Duh. It's what I talk about all the time, right? And especially like these kind of stencils by Nicole Watson, these little tiny space stencils. They're just great, and I'll show you an example of where I use them. But this is an example of doing the integration with tissue, because tissue will allow you to see what's underneath to some extent, and then it will also, because you can see what's underneath, it will bring those parts together in a very pleasing way to the eye. Now, I don't even know which is right side up on this. Maybe, you know what, I think it might have been this way. So this is good because I feel like I like this part better, right side up. What I had started with on these underparts was this fantastic paper. This was a bag, part of a bag that I got when we were in Switzerland. And I was saving it, and I just cut out some of these parts and glued them down. And although I loved how they looked, they didn't really look like me so much. They looked like something somebody else might have made. And that was my need for integration in a nutshell. Now here's some more of Carlotta's tissues. And I think I'm going to put a couple more of these around because I do love, she sent me all of these. Carlotta, thank you so much. I hope you watch this and get to see what I'm talking about. I don't know what it is. It's just something about when other people send you things or when you do swaps, and it just seems so much more magical than the stuff you make yourself. I just can't help that, right? So I want to put some of these in, and I'm trying to think about where they would go. I love this hunk here, but I don't think I have another hunk of that. I'm looking in my pile, and I think it was just these three pieces. The other thing I love about tissue is that you can make them, and then they can be, the tissue parts can be kind of like wadded up almost. And then when you glue them down, all of a sudden they're just so cool, right? They look so much better than you would have anticipated. All right, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to cut out one little block of these, and I can always sand away to make this less like it's a cut piece, and I'm going to show you how I'll do that. It's really just kind of like what we did, but I'm going to take some of this excess away too before we start. Now, the way this is done, one's going to be upside down, one's going to be right side up, or we could put them sideways maybe, and then maybe I'll just use one of these too, because this color, God, it's almost like she was reading my mind and knew what I was going to want to be working with color-wise. Isn't that funny? So funny. Could put, maybe this one is better over here, this bigger one, and then I could put these over here. Now, generally, I feel like, you know, threes are such a magical thing with respect to our art. And if I'm looking, like, look here, before we glue them down, red, 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 3, right? I will often find myself, even without specifically making a decision, I will find myself putting the triangle of color into my work. And it's a great way to find a cohesive look for your work. So I guess I'm talking a little bit about composition, aren't I? All right. Let's go ahead and glue these down, see how it looks, and then we'll move on to some other pages. I just felt like this one was, oh my gosh, what on earth did I do with it? That's what I felt like. I felt a little lost in America, and I felt like I needed to bring it back into the realm of something that actually looked like my own work. You know, as much as we can get stimulated online by like Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all the things, you know, there's a downside to that because you can easily lose your own voice. And I think that's what's happened to me a little bit lately. All right, here's my little sanding block. And I'm going back into those straight parts where I did the cuts, and I'm just kind of pulling away. See how that just pulled away, and it just brought it back to the background as one. Kind of makes your little sanding block a little bit cruddy, but that's okay. But I love the ease of doing that, you know. And even like this one where it's partially dried down already, so it's not coming away as perfectly, but I love that. So back to this idea of losing ourselves. I think it's a real thing. I mean, I am trying to pull myself off of social media, truly. I am not sure that I'm gaining anything from it. I mean, well, let me back up and say that in a different way. I am trying to pull myself off of a lot of the art on social media. I'm watching comedians, I'm watching people who are working in other media, musicians. I love watching musicians. I love watching, you know, things that are, you know, like ceramics, stuff I don't even know how to do. That really thrills me. So I feel like I don't want to look at people doing things similar to how I do things. It doesn't thrill me like it once did. I would love to hear what you guys think about that. So please leave me a comment down below. How not above, but below. There, I have opened up the comment section, so you could leave me a comment on this if you so desire. I just don't know. I feel like for me, the Instagram and the stimulation that I get from social media is just, I'm not getting as much pleasure out of it as I used to be. Facebook, I kind of am, because I have real friends on Facebook, real people who I know, like in person. I met them. I've run across them out in the world, and we actually talk to one another. It's not just a watch. It's not like just a voyeur program. We really do talk to one another, and that is meaningful to me. I still do love the opportunity to actually talk with people. Because, I mean, no matter who you are or what you're doing, you got to admit, these are some tough times we're going through right now. Lot going on in the world. Oops, I took off part of those petals. So sorry. But anyway, for me, this page looks way better than it did before. And it feels a little bit more like me right now. So I love that. Yeah. Okay, so now on the other side of this page, I have nothing, but I got to let this dry first, okay? So I'm going to sit that to the side. Now on this page, I was at the beach one day, and this is just a little pad of paper I took with me, New Soho sketch, and I got it at that St. Louis artist store, that STL Art Supply, that I'm lucky enough to live in the same city as. And this is really, it's this very inexpensive little pad of paper that has, I don't even know, it doesn't tell how many pages it has, but it was $6.99, not expensive at all. And it's for watercolor, pen, color pencil. So this is what I took to the beach with a little watercolor palette and a pencil and a pen. And one day I was sitting out there sketching these crazy birds, and it just seemed like they had such personalities, right? Like this guy, I was trying to sketch him, and he just turned around and looked right at me. Like, who are you to be sketching me? And then this guy had such a strange attitude, I swear to God, it looked like he was wearing a ball cap. And then this was another type, I don't even know if this was a type of seagull or what it is, but he was kind of on the lurking on the edges, and he was a big time curmudgeon. big time curmudgeon seagull. So I was sketching these guys, and then I painted them with some watercolor, and then I glued them into my journal, and then I actually put some sand on there from the beach because I thought, oh, that'd be kind of fun. And I had been at a thrift shop and found some some pattern paper, so I thought that was fun. But I just left this page pretty plain, and I feel okay about that. Sometimes you don't need all the stuff everywhere, right? I did find I found this cool little dictionary. Let's look at this little baby. It's a little baby Webster dictionary. I found it at the thrift store. It used to belong to M.L. Heyman from Minnesota. But anyway, so I found in there gull, the definition of gull, a seafowl. So there they are, the gulls. But that's a fun memory for me when I do things like that, because I'll always remember that. Now the back of that I prepared very much like the back of this page. All right, if you've been watching me on these wellness videos, you'll know that I always have a big spread too. And here's my big spread. I'm going to show you the back of it first. Yeah, not a lot going on. But then here's the part that I have done. And this one, I think I did it in this orientation. And I did this on a day when I was so literally down in the dumps, I couldn't even think of anything to do. And all I did was take papers and glue them. I had a background done like those blue ones I just showed you. But I just took papers and started gluing them down. And then I touched up with these little, using my stencils with some white paint. So I'm going to take the back of the seagulls, and I think I'm going to do something different, something just like that with them. I'm going to move these tissues out of the way because I don't think I'm going to use those right now. What I did before I came to the studio is I went through a bunch of magazines, and I mean old magazines. Like, remember Flow magazine back in the day? I used to love that magazine. And so I went through it, and I tore out some things from there. I tore out some things from Magnolia magazine, which I really like. I think this was from Magnolia. And this was from Flow. You can tell by the quality of the paper. I tore this out because I loved all of these shells, which are, incidentally, stickers. So what I would say to you by this is, don't be afraid to use your stuff. Pull out your stuff and use it. Here's another one. This was from, those new books that are on Amazon. They're pretty inexpensive. They're called Collage Soup, and there's a bunch of different kinds of them. Well, I had bought a few of them to use in my classes, and this was a little bit from one of them that I really liked. I really like this. This reminded me, it's not at all the same, but it did remind me of the wild sea oats that are down there by the dunes where we hang out when we go to North Carolina, and I do love that. And I love this little page. It says date, thought, date, thought, date, thought. So I thought, I would like to use that in a page, right? I just was very inspired by it. And I have way more things than I need. In the Magnolia, there was an article about cyanotype prints, and there were all these beautiful images in there. And then there was this caption, embracing a summer state of mind. So I do love that. I also love this. I think I'll pull this away. So here's what I would say. You go through your stuff and pick out just a limited number of things, like maybe like this. Not like this, which is what I have over here at the side. I'll just confess, and I have even more. Not like all that necessarily, but just a small group of things. And then we will start putting them down in a way that is pleasing to us. Okay? Now I'm going to pull away some of this away from the tree because I don't want, I mean, if I glued that down, it would be, okay, well, that page is done. And that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. So I'm going to just start like this. Let's do something different, though. I do like the idea of some pattern over here. And I think, honestly, the biggest thing, if you're going to work like this, is don't think too hard, okay? It is when you start thinking too hard that it gets, I don't want to say difficult, but you'll overthink it. You'll overthink it. I've done this for years. You guys have been doing this for 24 years. I mean, you'll overthink it. You get in the weeds. And then you'll be on some other thing. You'll be doing something different. You'll be like, really? Really? Why was I doing that? This, by the way, it just reminds me. Doesn't it remind you of like an old-time paint by number? It's so pretty. So pretty. Really like it. Okay, so I think I want to put it right here, which means I do think I want to put a little bit edge of this down here. That was on the border of thinking too hard. Thinking too hard about a border. Something to be said. Yep. Okay, so, and then I'll cut all these off later. Gonna get my glue stick nice and juicy and everywhere on here. All right, so I look forward to hearing your comments. I really do. I love it when people jump in and tell me how they are affected by my work, if it inspires them or whatever. Do be kind, though. I mean, I am thin-skinned, people. I act like I could just take it all, but you know what? Nope, thin-skinned, thin-skinned. Okay. Now, down here, we'll see. We will see. I think I want another tree over here, though. You know, we were at the Outer Banks, and it's not like this kind of foliage. I mean, seriously, it's more like sand dune kind of stuff. But I love this. And look at that, how that, like, lightened. This is a baby wipe. Very nice. That will allow me, I did not know that was going to happen, but what it's going to do is allow me to get kind of the essence of that tree to pop out, but down here I won't feel real obsessive about it anymore, so I can glue things over the top down here, and that's really nice to know. I often use a baby wipe to get the paper to grab up with the substrate, which in this case is my manila folder, so that's exciting for me that some of that color came off. I did not expect that at all. Not at all. I don't know if any of you have bought my class, Day Tripping. It's over on StencilGirl Studio, but it's a class that I did with my friend Jennifer Armstrong, and it was about travel journaling, and she does this thing that I really love the idea of, and I'm just starting to do it. But she cuts out stuff. She's always like fussy cutting things. And then she keeps them. Oh, here's the notebook I keep mine in. She keeps them in a little notebook like this, her fussy cut things, and categorizes them. And I've just begun doing it. I don't have very many yet, but I love the idea of this. I really, really do. So, like, let's say she's doing, I don't think I'm going to glue this down, but let's just give you an example. So let's say I wanted this crazy scorpion or whatever here. I could put him there. Or look at this guy. Maybe I want this guy here. So anyway, she's got all these characters, I guess you could call them. Characters or realistic things that she cuts out and she keeps in this little notebook, and it is just super cool. Now I really do like this, though. I might use a little bit of that. Yes, perhaps. And, I work so much abstractly, and then I get really caught up in this notion of total abstractness that just comes out of my mind and no one else would really be able to relate to it or understand it. And, sometimes it's kind of nice to have these bits of realism in your work. Typically, when I do that, it's usually words, but why not do it as imagery that people can relate to, right? I don't know. Food for thought. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because it was kind of interfering with my my idea regarding composition on this page. And I also want to show you some of these distress spritzers, which I do like. Okay, so the Distress Spritz, it's a spray. It's a Tim Holtz product. So the Distress is in all of his different colors that he uses, right? The Distress colors. And it's kind of got, like, it's got a little ball in the bottom. Hear it? Like when you shake it, it mixes it up. And it mixes it up into this very, very lovely, kind of this subtle color that will put this little shimmer on the top of whatever it is you're working on, and really pretty. I haven't worked with them too much, but I do like them. What I've used so far, I like them very much. They add just this little bit of glimmer in a super subtle way, which I think is probably one of the reasons I like them so much. If you're somebody who likes a lot of glitz and maybe glitter, that might not be enough for you, but I am not that person, so I kind of like the subtlety of them. I've been playing with them, mainly using the pinks, and I thought, oh, it might be fun to use a blue here. Yes. So let's move these out of the way. Let's see here. I couldn't live without my little metal rulers, could I? Nope, I could not. All right, now I do not like that squared off end on here, so I'm gonna just cut that off on that end and then cut it off on this end, because I think it might, even though I'm using it as a grounding element down here, I really like the idea of the curve there rather than the squared off bit. I don't even know what these are supposed to be. They look kind of like planetary things, but then kind of like artistic eyeballs. I don't know. I do, as I always say, collage is my first love. Oh, now here is a little bit of the spritz on top of some tissue. Let's see how this might glue down here. I was playing with it. Oh, this is wet strength tissue because you can't tear it very easily, and it probably would not work with my little sanding methodology either. So it does tear that way. There's a grain is what I guess I should have said more properly. But if you're interested in that, I believe it's sold out of the UK. It's called wet strength tissue. Kind of cool. It really is kind of a cool product. Oh, look. Now see, here's what comes from the synchronicity of allowing things to develop. The squares. Yeah, love that. Love that. And I might put it down here a little bit over these guys. Yes, I think I shall. I'm going to get my matte medium out for this again. That almost looks like a ladder, doesn't it? That part with the... Yeah, this is nice because you do still get the full sensation of these underneath, but they're not nearly as obvious. So that's very cool. Very cool. I don't know. Oh, this is a receipt I got somewhere. Look at the color of that. Isn't it beautiful? I just was like, wow. I mean, typically I don't throw my receipts necessarily into my journal, but it was just such a pretty color. I gotta guess it was like maybe the color at the end of the roll, or I don't know, who knows. But it's really pretty. Oh, funny story. So I was at a thrift shop. Oh, wow. Okay then. That turns black. Look at it. Wow. Okay. Shocking. I have enough time to get it off, or I could just leave the black. I think I'm going to take it off though. I'm not sure that black hangs in with where I'm trying to go here. Okay, note to self. It's some kind of a thermal printer that goes black. All right then. So anyway, I was out with my my grandson's girlfriend. We were going to a thrift shop. And we're avid puzzle players, especially on vacation if we get a rainy day, right? And so we had been doing puzzles, and we were at the thrift shop, and they had some more, and we thought, oh, we'll look at these and see if any of them are, you know, something somebody might like, somebody in our group. There was a puzzle in this thrift shop that, I kid you not, was a big puzzle, and on the front of it, it had a note that said, missing 56 pieces. And oh my God, we just laughed out loud. It was like, yeah, I surely appreciated their honesty, but I didn't know who would buy that. Not me anyway. Oh gosh, but this page is looking quite nice. I am doing what I said. I am just going wall-to-wall collage on this. And I think the biggest thing to remember when you're doing that is to change the shape, the shapes, and the sizes. So I'm doing very much a grid piece here. And what is making it work as a composition is the size changes. And also the colors that play off of one another, like we talked about before, the triangle. And I swear to you, on my cat's lives, I did not plan that. It is something that will start to come very naturally to you when you've done an awful lot of collage, and then you will realize, oh yeah, yep, that's what I do, So fun. What I want to put here is that date note thing that I'm not sure what I did with it. So instead, I'm going to find that, I'm going to put it in here, I'm going to finish my journal, but I want to show you how the distress spritz works. So let's see what we can do here. This is a new color for me. It's the peacock, and it looks so dark, but oh, not at all. Oh my, that is quite pretty, I'm gonna get a brush to sort of lead this color around in another direction. Oh my, wow. So if you're familiar with Tim's products, and if you know peacock feathers, which is a very, very, one of the very favorite distress colors, you will be surprised to see the delicacy of it on this. Let's see if I can get any of that sheen to come up on the... Okay, so here a little bit of it is starting to come up here. It'll assume the sheen color more as it dries down, and I love that. Love it. So I'm pretty stoked about the new distress spritz. Beautiful. Well played, Tim. Good Lord, how this man continues to come up with new products. Oh, you can see some of the sheen coming up on that magazine page too. All right, people, go make some journal pages. I hope you enjoyed watching me play today, and I'll be back next month for my wellness journal. Everybody take care and be well.